Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today we're finally going to get to Renovator level 5, which enables us to fix hubcaps or rims, whatever way you want to call them. We're going to start off working on 2 of the 3 cars out the front of the garage. That should give us the skill points needed to level up. So we're just going to move both cars in and then we'll have a closer look at what needs to be done. If you're enjoying this series or any other content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the videos does really help. So straight in with the second car. So we're going to work on 2 cars today, all customer orders. The first one we're looking at is a 2010 Mioveni Urs. Now I'm pretty sure we've not touched one of these before, so a new car for us to look at. And it's got not major issues, obviously we need to discover them, but it hasn't got anything I would say that's that major, so that's a bonus. We'll start off as always by doing our checks and our examination. We'll sped this up just to save a little bit of time for you guys. But nothing's really showing up so far during the initial examination. Now, most of the time it won't, but it's always good for XP, and that's the important thing for us today. We need to get to level 12. That is the aim. There was something to show up in red there, so that's something we've just found by the looks of it. That's a bonus. And there's something at the back as well that's now red. Shock absorb, I think. All the tests now, get them done as well while we're here. Nothing major showing up on that one. Again, nothing major. Pistons seem okay. Multimeter, I think everything's okay there. Tyres, just in case, you never know. And I think fuel pressure test last of all. And all good. So now we just need to decide what we actually need to do. So let's have another look at the list. So we know there's a wheel hub bearing gone and 2 other issues with general running gear control and repair. Discovered all the issues with the car is hard to control. A few others still unfound, but I think we'll find them through general examination by actually taking bits off and having a look ourselves. So let's get the car in the air and we'll start with the front wheels. Is there any issues with the brakes as we take these off? Suspension maybe. Let's have a look. I'm so looking forward to being able to upgrade our taking things off speed. I know the words didn't quite work there. But yeah, it just saves so much time. Things are a lot quicker. Right, there's a wheel hub bearing. And as you can see straight away, the outer tyre rack's no good. So that's found pretty quickly. Sway bar, front end is no good either. The front end link. So that's something else needs replacing. And the steering rack looks like it's gone, but to get to that we need to take off the left side wheel as well. So we'll have a look at this side over here. I'm always constantly looking around at what else could be wrong. Things that obviously didn't show up in the examination, but we can see for ourselves there's an issue. Again, we're trying not to do too much. We don't want to go over what is expected. We're just going to check the wheel hub bearing on this left side. That seems to be okay. Right, outer tie rod off. And then the inner tie rod, and then we can take off the steering rack, and that obviously needs replacing. You can tell that straight away. Have I forgotten to take something off? While we're here, we'll check the rubber bushings. My ultimate nemesis. It's worth checking them now while we're here. There is always going to be one of those that may need sorting out. There's one at the front. It's better to check them now and then instead of right at the end, and then you think, oh, I've got to do it all over again to try and find these. I'm kind of getting the hang of where they are, which does save a lot of time. Okay, there's one on the front and one on the rear here. That's why we couldn't take the steering rack off. We left an inner tie rod on. The steering rack can now come off. And let's have a look at this rubber bush. There's a chance. No, it's okay. I thought because the screw bolt was rusted, may need replacing, but it looks okay. Let's have a look at the front one now. No, that's a decent one as well. At least we've checked them. It's a manual check, but at least we've checked them. That's the main thing. So let's have a look. We still need 2 parts still undiscovered. Done the stuff at the front. We've got rear end link and stuff to do. We've got refill liquids. So we're going to nip off and fix a few parts. See what we can fix anyway. Front drive axle, none of that needs doing. Right, we've kind of skipped time a bit. We've actually purchased everything we took off the front end. We couldn't fix anything. Not anything that needed replacing, so we've already brought all the parts needed, so we can put everything on the front back on. So the outer tie rod, steering axle now back in place. We've got the wheel bearing. So I believe everything else that needs doing after all this is replaced is the rear of the car and liquids. So not too bad. So the wheel can now go back on as well. And we're getting closer and closer at level 12, which is our aim for today. Okay. So we can start with the inner tie rod, and then the outer tie rods can tie all in. That's the steering rack all now complete. And then we have got the front drive axle. Didn't need replacing, but needed to put back in place. And the tyre can now go back on. Nice off-road tyres these. Now I'm pretty sure everything else that's on the car is rear of the car. So we'll start with tyres off. No brakes issue. Straight away you can see what one of the things came up was the rear shock absorber. That needs to come off. Don't know if that was on the list, so it may have been one of the unfound parts. Just having a manual scan now, just in case there's anything else we can visibly see or pick up on. Now that bushing looked a little bit worn. I could be wrong though. Yeah, the bushing is worn. We have found one. Nemesis is not going to stand a chance today. Okay, nothing else seems to be major. Let's have a look at this other rubber bushing. And that one's gone as well. 2 out of 2. So happy when you find these rubber bushings. So I think that'll be 2 of the ones we need. So that may also all be the general running gear and control. I think that might be all done. So we're just going to replace these parts while we're this side. So 2 rubber bushings and a rear shock. It's the small things in this that make me so happy when you find them. It just saves you a lot of time looking if you find them quickly. There we go. I think we've missed buying one because I've not put one there. Okay, we'll use one of the older ones. It should be okay. It should still pass. And now the wheel can go back on, and that's the left rear all done. As I say, this car isn't taking us that long to do. Especially finding the rubber bushings, that definitely saves us a lot of time. Now I know later on you can get the test part, and that can be used to find rubber bushings for you, or find if there's anything wrong with them anyway. So that will be helpful later. Okay, anything visibly in need of change on this rear end? Drive axle's not, but we can have a look inside that. There we go. Another wheel hub bearing. And there is a sway bar rear end link there that needs replacing. Is there anything else? We'll just check the rubber bushings as usual. No, that's in good shape. Let's have a look at the other rubber bushing. That's okay shape as well. That can stay them. Yeah, so far everything else looks okay. So we'll add to our shopping list one wheel bearing and 1 sway bar rear end link. Get those replaced. And that may be it. I haven't checked the list, so that may be everything. It's not knowing the actual list of jobs off by heart. We can put the rear end link back on, nice and easy, and we can get our wheel hub bearing back in as well. Brand new part, perfect. Rear drive hub, we're taking a chance. We're going to put the wheel back on. I'm kind of guessing we've done everything. It's a little bit of a guess, but I think we have. Bar liquids, got to remember the liquids. Okay, Let's just double check. So running gear is all done, car hard to handle, suspension clunks and rattles are done, just liquids to change. And then this car is finished. Not too bad in terms of time taken. Hopefully we earn a decent amount of money, but the main thing is the XP from examination, taking parts off, putting them back on. That's what we're after in today's episode. So coolant in, power steering reservoir, let's get that filled back up. Nicely done. And I think we still need to do brake liquid as well. Yep, over there. Perfect. And that is all done. Bit ahead of it, but yeah, that's everything sorted. So whilst we're just closing the bonnet and finishing the brake liquid, we spent a total of £944 on the car. After selling everything that was no good, that was our total spend. The job itself will pay us, once we go across, £2,946,000. £2,946. It makes no sense. We made a profit of £2,002 profit. Not bad. But the important part is we're very close now to going up level. Right, next car, the 1998 Ribbsan Starline. It's got a fair few things. A couple of engine issues that we need to deal with, so that's going to involve taking the engine out. But we're going to first of all examine the car and do a test as always. And again, we're going to speed through this. Save you guys watching it. Once this speeds up naturally via skill points, that'll be a lot easier as well. But nice quick examination. A few things are showing up red. A few things showing up red on our testing as well. At least that should narrow down what we're doing, but I think the engine's going to definitely have to come out. We're so close at level 12 as well now. Right, we're going to drain all the liquids. Made a slight mistake and took the brake servo off. Didn't mean to do that. But drain the liquid. Right, so the air filter, fuel filter is doing. Water pump. Drain the oil. Lots of little bits. Coolant. I think the big thing is going to be the water pulley. Now we could do this in the engine bay, but the engine bay is quite tight. So it's a lot easier sometimes just to take the engine out. It takes a little bit more time, but gives you a lot more room to work. I think there were timing issues to look at as well. But we'll start by draining the oil. Once it allows me to. I think I clicked it before the car had actually gone up high enough. So drain the oil first, that was on the list of jobs to do. When I first started doing this, I did consider doing an oil change as standard, but because it costs us money every time, it's not worth it. Obviously sometimes when you've got to take the engine out, you've got to drain the oil no matter what. There's a couple of things I honestly thought I'd be able to do as standard, and I've really not been able to. The car wash will be happening as standard, but other than that, we're going to have to kind of stick to what we should be doing. So, we want to take the engine out to do these other bits and pieces, I believe. So to start with, we need to take out, what do we need to do first? I'm trying to make a decision. We're going to take off some of the exhaust. I think we need to go underneath. Let's start underneath. We need to take out the drive shaft and the gearbox. That's the two main things to take off before we can actually take the engine out. So drive shaft first. Probably should have done this while it was all in the air. I was trying to umming and ahhing what to do. We haven't taken many engines out. So this is still a learning curve. Hopefully in the near future on the episodes you'll see how easy things are compared to what they are at the start. I've looked back on some of the first episodes we've done and the mistakes we made to now. It's so weird seeing it and thinking, yeah, I was really learning there. So gearbox off next. Now that's everything I think under the car that's going to affect us. We're going to take off the clutch plate and the clutch pressure plate. We don't need to take this off before it goes out. I know that now, but when we did this, didn't know you could leave it all on. You can actually do it all on the engine stand, but at the time I didn't know that, so we took it all off. Okay, I think That's going to be everything that's going to stop us. Ah, no, the exhaust. We can take the exhaust manifold off from inside the engine bay, and that would enable us to take the engine out. I always have an eye on which bit we should take off and which bit we should leave. But I think we need to take off the manifolds. That would enable us to take it out. We could take the lower exhaust off and was underneath, but we'll go for the manifolds this time. The second one. Some rusty bolts to deal with first. You can see straight away that water pump has had it. There's a few bits on this engine. Oh, looking very good. Right, engine out. Now, I haven't done this enough, so we need to click on the engine crane. We need to pull out engine. There we go. We've made a few mistakes with pulling engines out and pressed the wrong buttons a few times. It tells you you've got no engine. We have, it's just haven't taken out the car yet. Okay, so engine on the engine stand. There we go. So, what do we need to replace? I'm trying to remember. So we're just going to head back to the car. This is my only real gripe with Car Mechanics Simulator 2021. Is if you want to know what needs doing, you have to head back to the car to double check it. You can't just look at the engine or the current job list or anything like that. So a little bit of back and forth. Right, the water pump. So we can't take that off because we need the pulley off. The pulley's got a belt on it. We need to take the fan off first. I haven't really dealt with fans on engines yet. So there we go. So I believe the belt's got to come off, but we've got to get the belt tensioner off first. There was some stuff about timing to look at as well, so that might be something we have to have a look at. Timing off, water pump pulley off, and there's our water pump, but that's stuck behind the timing cover. So we need to take the timing cover off, so we need the idle roller off. None of these need replacing these parts, but they're just in our way to get to what we need to get to. Crankshaft pulley is orange, and now I'm not sure if that needs replacing. I don't remember it being on the list. May have to double check that. Okay, now we need to take another belt off, but we can't get to that belt without taking off the timing cover. The top end of the timing cover. Right, we still can't take the belt off because we need to get the coils cover off the top. Everything leads to everything else, and lack of experience slows us down here, where we're just double checking. Does it need to be taken off to get to something else? The more you obviously do engines, the easier this will become, and second nature. A lot of it will be easy, and you just won't even think about it. Okay. That is off. Now we should be able to take the covers off, or the cover. Fuel filter, that needed replacing, I believe. So we need to take the coils cover off. More bolts. Lots and lots of bolts. That unbolt and screw in speed later on will be really helpful. I also missed, we actually leveled up. We have already leveled up. I had actually missed it. What are we missing with the belt? There's something not quite right with that belt coming off. I think my angle didn't help. Okay, there's an idle roller stopping us taking the belt off. So we have actually now got enough to, skill points to get the Renovator level 5, which is what we need to fix rims and things like that. And we have got enough. So we'll finish this car first, then we'll have a look at doing it. Okay, fuel filter's also off. I believe that's everything, is it? Let's have a look. Oh, there's a red ignition coil. So maybe that's not everything. Let's just double check the others. They're all yellow. That's an orange. I don't remember there being 2 to replace. I didn't even remember there was 1, to be honest. We'll put the one that's orange back. I don't think we need to replace it. Generally, it's red parts only need replacing. I think that is everything off the engine. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit. I fixed everything. I've brought all the parts we need to replace. And it's just a case of putting everything back on. So we can start with the ignition coil. A water pump can go back in. And we've got the belt, serpentine belt. Now we didn't, it's amber, orange, but we didn't need to replace it. It wasn't on the list, so we're not going to. You can't fix belts, I'm learning this slowly. Idle roller back on. But yeah, I'm in that mindset that if it's not on the list of parts that needs fixing, we don't do it. It will just cost us more money and profit in the long run. Although eventually, a lot of the jobs we do will just be our own cars. That's the final plan. But we just need to make enough money before we can become that bespoke refurb garage. That's kind of my thinking. I have a lot of plans for when we make our own cars. That will come in a later episode once we get to that point. But we're nowhere near that yet. Okay, radiator fan back on. Just got to put the stuff back on the top. And I think the engine is then good to go. So, coils cover can go back on. All these lovely bolts to put back on. And then we've got the exhaust manifolds. We took those off inside the car. We're putting them on before we go back. And it still goes in normally, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, intake manifold. So only a couple more bits now, and then the engine will be back together. Fuel rail. Something else didn't need replacing. Throttle. Again, it's orange, but it's not on the list. So it should be absolutely fine. Sometimes it does annoy me. You're putting these brand new shiny parts on an engine, and the rest of it's really horrible and tatty looking. You think, I'm not really doing it a service by doing this, but if a customer comes in and wants certain jobs doing, and you replace an engine when they want the tyres changed, they're not going to want to pay for it. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Is there's no point doing far too much because the customer won't want to pay for it, because I wouldn't. That's the way I kind of view it. Okay, we're done with the engine crane. Now, engine is back in. We need to do the oil filter still. We haven't changed that. And we need to do the fuel pump and the air filter and coolants. And I think there's an issue with one of the suspension parts. So air filters are all well and good, apart from these little tiny clips that you need to take off. These are really annoying. Mainly because they're difficult to see. But they're just frustrating. But we got them. There's all four. Top of the oil filter comes off, and you can tell that air filter, not oil filter. The actual air filter itself had it. Tell by the look of it. The base also needs replacing as well. I think the top is fine, and I think the clips are fine. I think it is just the air filter itself. So we're going to quickly go and purchase the air filter base and the air filter itself. Nicely done. I like to have a clean shopping list every time. It makes life a lot easier. So the new base can go back in. Brand new one. Brand new air filter. Our old air filter cover can go back on. And then we've got these four lovely tiny clips. That's number 2. Number 3. And number 4. Nicely done. Okay, you can see, and I noticed it just then, we haven't done the oil filter yet. Something we do need to put on. Now, so oil filter needs doing. I've spotted it. Didn't realise at the time immediately. I think we can put it on from here. Obviously we just need an angle. No, we can't do it. It has to be under the car. That's annoying. While we've got the car in the air though, we can look at this other suspension issue. We know there is something else that he's doing suspension wise. Get the angle. Get the angle. There we go. Oil filter, brand new one, in place. We can now put all the flywheel and all the gearbox and stuff back on. So there's a clutch plate. None of this really needed to come off, but at the time I didn't realise. That's all back on. What have we got next? The release bearing. And then gearbox. Now I have an issue with gearboxes. I always forget to put the starter motor back on. And I forgot it again. Just one of those things that I always forget. And it is normally the last thing I realise. You're going to see that a lot in upcoming videos. Every time I take a gearbox off, I forget to put back on that one part. So that's all done, that's all done. We need to change the oil, we still need to do the fuel pump, and we have a sway bar rear end link to look at, and some fluids to do. Remember, we haven't put the starter motor back on. Let's see how long it takes me to realise, shall we? So the fuel pump we can replace now. Nice simple one. That is definitely had in that fuel pump. We're going to try and find this rear end link as well. They're normally easy to spot. There we go. We've got to take the wheel off annoyingly. We found what side it's on at least. Instead of taking both wheels off, we only have to do one. We should better get behind it. There we go. That can come off. We can buy that at the same time as doing the fuel pump. I'm pretty sure can they be fixed? I don't think they can be, but it's worth a check. Oh, the fuel pump can be fixed. I completely forgot about that. And as you notice, I can see the starter motor sitting in the inventory. So I've probably at this point clicked. I haven't put it back. So if we hadn't gone to fix anything, I wouldn't have realised. But fuel pump can be fixed. That is a bonus. That saves us a little bit of money. Rear end link can't be, so that's replaced. Just need to put them back on the car. There we go. Rear end link back on. Wheel can go back on now. That's all of that done. I believe it's just replacing fluids. Once I put the fuel filter back in. It's got to get an angle on the fuel filter now. It's all about angles, and especially on console, you've got to try and manoeuvre the camera enough to be able to get a decent viewpoint of what you're looking at. Now, because we fixed the part, I spotted the starter motor. I didn't realise. You're going to see upcoming episodes where I don't even realise till it's too late, and then I have to do everything all over again to get it there. But that is that done. Now, lower the car, and we need to refill the liquids. There are some hilarious episodes coming up where I miss so much. Because I've recorded so much in advance, I kind of know some of what's going to happen. And you guys don't yet. But yeah, there's things that stupid mistakes I make. See, little things like that. Taking the coolant off rather than then opening the actual part to actually, the cap to refill it. Little things on that. Very annoying. What can I do? It happens. So coolant going in. Perfect. Power steering. I think it did need doing. We'll top it up and see. I can't remember if it did now. I know we still need to do oil. That's done. I believe it is just oil now. There we go. Pour the oil in. The car is done. Fantastic. So with selling all the parts that are no good, we actually spent a total of £496 fixing this car. That's not that bad considering we had the engine out. Being able to fix things like the fuel pump helped massively. We did need to buy a new water pump and stuff like that. That's a little bit of expense, but we only spent £496, and it's going to pay us £1,421, which will give us a profit of £925. Not bad. If you compare that with the other profit we made, we've made it today just under £3,000 in 2 cars as profit. I don't think that's too bad for a day's work. But now, we're finally leveled up, and we can go and spend our skill points. It's more than one, to be fair. So, here we go. Toolbox, Renovator, level 5, here we come. 5 skill points, we got 7 in the bag. Fantastic. Now this is the thing we've been waiting for. We need another 4 points for Renovator level 6. These are important because they allow us to fix different parts. So, The thing we've been missing is rims. When we go and do barn finds, and even eventually when we get to the scrapyard, we can now fix rims. And that's a big thing, because rims are worth quite a decent amount of money. Especially the ones we've already got, they're 3-star rims. So even if you run short of money, you can sell rims to actually help you out. So how many of these need fixing? A few of them. We'll fix a lot. First attempt at ever fixing rims. It's generally the same as other parts. Same mini game. If we miss on this one, it's bye-bye rim. And we missed. What were the chances? So we messed up the first rim we ever tried to fix. It's going to be no good. We're going to have to set it off now. The rest of them we can now repair, and that is all the rims repaired. So in total we spent £233 fixing the rims. Sounds a lot for 5 rims. We lost one, obviously we could sell it, but 4 rims we've now kept, and that will save us money going forward. Why put them in the warehouse though? That is everything for today. Like I said earlier, if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to drop a subscribe and a like. It does really help on the video. And we'll see you next time for the third car that we had outside the front of the garage. Thanks for watching.